Hello and welcome to another Alpha Console plugin tutorial. Today we'll be focusing on the Json files, which is basically the small small file which controls how your decals work in game. So what this is from the most recent update, I think the season 3 update, the way the Json file pathing, how their path works have changed. And this is what we'll be covering today, as well as how to add onto your JSON file in terms of adding multiple decals to a single file. This doesn't matter if it's an antenna, a ball, a banner, any texture with a JSON file will need to be set the same way. So let's focus on decals. This is my decal folder. Obviously yours would look very much different. The main thing is the folders. So if I was to choose the first one, which you probably all would have, which would be the Hyper Beast, which comes with Alpha Console. We'll open it up, and this is what the JSON file looks like. To open it up, you can open it with Notepad or Notepad++, whichever is easiest for you. So to go over the JSON file quickly, the first thing is this, which is the name that is displayed inside of Alpha Console itself. So when you press F5 and go into the menu to select your decal, this is what will be shown. The second thing is body ID. Everything in the game has its own unique ID, whether it's a car, wheels, banners, antennas, everything has its own ID. 23 is for the octane. You have 403, which is for the Dominus, and 4284, which is for the Fennec. The skin ID refers to a decal for that car, or to any decal, but specifically for the car that you're using. So 0 would be no decal, which would mean you would need to have no decal equipped on your car in order for your custom decals to work. You can have decals equipped, so in game people can see something like the Octane Griffin, or another animated decal or something like that. But what you would see is your custom decal. The chassis refers to the engine. 99% of the time, you probably won't be using a custom engine decal. So if you're not going to use one, you can simply delete everything inside the quotation marks like that, and the game will use the default texture that it provides. And then the body is the decal itself. So diffuse is the decal, which is this. And the skin or mask layer basically refers to the coloring that it uses to show the decals, which looks similar to this. So it will be either something like this, or a completely black image with blue covering the windows. So the most important thing, which is pretty much the whole basis of this tutorial, is the way folder pathing works. Previously, you would see something like this, where it would be Hyper Beast, or it'll be a name and then slash. This refers to a folder, so it'll be a folder called Hyper Beast, and then everything here will be the image. So if we look here, we've got Hyper Beast, the folder, and then the image is Hyper Beast chassis, which is this. So the folder slash the image. In this recent update, folder pathing works differently, so you need to make sure your JSON file and your decals are all inside the same folder. And then all you do is simply remove the folder path from the JSON file. So name and the slash will be deleted. This simply then picks up everything, this image, inside of the file, inside of the folder it is already in. So it'll be the same for this and this, which is now saying the JSON file will simply read for this image inside of the folder it is already in, which will be these three here. So if you was to save this, it would now work in game. So to add on to this, you can stack or insert other decals inside of a single JSON file. So if I was to go into my esports folder, you'll see here there's one JSON file and many decals. If I was to open it up, this is what it would look like. So how would we get this to work? You want the overall structure of the JSON file to remain the same. So you would want the first opening and the last closed parenthesis to remain the same. Everything else you want to copy. So from this all the way up to the name, you want to Control C for copy. Come back down to this second or middle parenthesis here, put a comma, enter for a new line, and then Control V or paste. And this is basically a new custom decal that you would then see in game. You can change this to whatever you like. It'll be for the octane. Actually, let's change it up completely. So I would call it something like Fennec, so I can see in the game that it is for the Fennec car. And then call it something like test. Now, obviously, this is for the Fennec, so body ID will need to change. So the Fennec is 4284. And then I would go about changing all the decals. I don't use a Fennec engine decal, so I would remove that. And then I would just simply rename these to as I want. And then I would save. So from there, it's the same procedure. If you want to add another decal, simply copy from this middle closed parenthesis all the way up to the decal name, Control C, come back down to the middle, put a comma, enter for a new line, Control V, and then rename everything accordingly. Once again, you would need any decals you use. You want inside of the same folder, which currently I'm working in here. You would want decals inside the same folder as your JSON file. There is another way of reading from different folders. However, this is where things can get a bit complicated. So if I was to close this, I'd no longer need this. And go to my esports folder and open up my JSON file here. You would see I have the diffuse, which is all of these, but there are no skins or masks, which is this. And the way this is set up is it is reading a completely different folder and a file within that folder. So as this esports folder is inside of the main decal texture root folder, the JSON needs to go back to the main root, which is decal textures, and that is referred to by this .. That's the root folder, So if I go back to the root folder, which is here, then decal black, as there's another slash here, this is another folder, so decal black folder, which is this. And then this is reading a decal black PNG, which is this. So as this folder is inside of the main root folder, you will need a // to go back to the root. And then from there, you would add your folder paths and file location. For another look, if I was to open up the JSON file inside of the main root folder, so inside of decal textures, I have a simple JSON file here. You would notice that there is no // on this one, purely because this does not need to go back to the root folder because this is already located there. This simply now reads down to the decal black folder and then to decal black dominus file, which is this. So that is the main reason why decals, most custom decals no longer work if you are downloaded or they are working for a previous version of Alpha Console. If everything is inside the same, if the JSON file and the decal textures are all inside the same file, having a, if the decal files and the JSON file are inside the same folder, and there is a folder marked inside the JSON file, it will not work. If you remove the folder path and just have the file name, as long as everything is inside the same folder, everything will be working. I hope this has been informative. Apologies if this didn't come across quite clear. Any questions you have, put them in the comments down below and I will answer when I can. The main things to take away is if you have downloaded or have a decal that isn't working but it used to work from a previous version of Alpha Console, the main thing you would need to check is this folder path. As long as everything is inside the same folder, it will be working. Thank you so much and have a nice day.